How to learn English well. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you can speak. How to learn English well. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can learn out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through training. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well. First, as slowly festival. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. You will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn it through reading. You can learn it through writing. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and saying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and listening as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through studying. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and saying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. You will speak. How to learn English well? First, as slowly possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn it through singing, you can learn it through reading, you can learn it through listening, and you can learn it through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and saying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, as slowly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and listening as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through listening. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, as slowly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through reading. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through listening and setting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well. First, as slowly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and saying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing, you can learn English through reading, you can learn English through listening, and you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and studying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well. First, slowly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking, reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English well. You can learn English through singing, you can learn English through reading, you can learn English through listening, and you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn it well? First, as slowly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and listening as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and studying as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, slowly as slowly possible. Ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will talk about English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through reading. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, ladies and gentlemen, Today, I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through listening. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can blurt out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn English well? First, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through sitting. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learning English. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak. How to learn it well. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk about learning English well. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about learning English. There are many ways to learn English. You can learn English through singing. You can learn English through reading. You can learn English through listening. And you can learn English through writing. But the best way to learn English is through speaking and reciting as many sentences as possible. The more sentences you can put out, the better English you will speak.